Hey everyone, it's Arcondus Gaming, and thank you for tuning in to another video. So as y'all might have known, Blizzard has opened a classic stress test to some players with an active subscription for a couple of days, and they let them level to 15 as the level cap. And I must say, I haven't had this much fun playing World of Warcraft in a while. So just as a little background, I have been playing WoW since vanilla, but I was about 12 to 13 at the time, so like many of you, it was my first MMO experience, and I'm sure that added to part of the reason why I had so much fun. So I ended up getting to the level cap, and it took me about 10 to 12 hours to get there, and I'm not sure how good or bad that is, but I was going at my own pace and soaking in the moment, so it was still a lot of fun. And I did plan on leveling multiple characters to cap, but I severely underestimated how long it would actually take me, so it was quite a nice surprise that I ended up having to stick with one character, which was my warrior. And I do plan on rolling warrior when Classic officially releases, so it was some good fun. Now this video is just going to be some of my feelings and thoughts about what I experienced while playing the stress test, and as you'll see, I'll just have a run of RFC that I tanked as a background just to show off my elite tanking skills. But anyway, when I said that I haven't had this much fun playing WoW in a while, that doesn't mean I didn't get fun out of BFA until I stopped playing around November or December of last year, and the fun I'm having currently with Project Ascension as well, which my channel is really based on. It's just playing Classic gave me a different type of fun that I haven't felt from WoW in a while, and that was just the challenge of leveling and how everything I did and received as a drop mattered in the world. And at the start, the world really did feel alive again, but that started to fall off a little bit as we started to progress like to Orgrimmar and things like that, but I will go over that a little bit later. Now leveling up my character, even though it was only to level 15, was actually a challenge. Part of it probably was because I'm a warrior, and God forbid I pull more than one mob, because if I did that, that'd be a 4-minute run to my body. But because of knowing that, I would actually strategize how I was going to pull something back to avoid other mobs. And that's the kind of stuff you do in raids, not leveling. Now, I don't know if I'm being too overdramatic, but doing things like that while leveling, like planning pulls and avoiding other mobs and just playing smart in general, at least as a tank, I feel that leveling actually helps you become a better player. So when you're in RFC, BRD, or even Molten Core, you can make that smart decision to pull something or wait because a patrol is coming by. So that was the first thing I really got out of Classic, at least playing as a tank. Leveling and carefully pulling these mobs so you don't pull more than one was actually setting me up to become a better player, so when I do go into the dungeons I wouldn't make the same mistake, and it would punish me for doing more than fighting more than I can take on. So it was really refreshing to go ahead and make these smart decisions while you're leveling and then moving that into the dungeons. So while leveling, even finding rare monsters and treasure chests was so exciting. I would stop what I was doing and go ahead and clear an area just for a treasure chest. And even during my stream, there was a rare mob and a chest and a little camp surrounded by other enemies, and I was actually clearing around the camp so I could set up for this epic battle with a rare and try to get the chest as well. So the rare spawn ended up being too strong for me to solo, but luckily there was another player. We joined a group and we ended up taking down the rare spawn. And that brings me to the next part of the leveling experience, which is grouping up for quests. Now I admit I do like my fair share of solo play, and I was that guy that would be questing in an area for like to kill an X amount of bears or something like that, and someone would come along and invite me to, of course, speed up the process, but I would just decline and keep solo playing. I just feel like in current WoW it doesn't really increase the time to finish a quest by that much, so I didn't really join a group, and I don't accept the invites. I know that kind of doesn't make sense. Now, however, with Classic, it looks like I would have to join a group for some of these quests because it would actually cut the amount of time to do the quest by so much more, and I will probably be avoiding so many deaths because of it. So now I feel like it's going to be worth it, and I'm actually kind of excited. Now with the Classic stress test, I ended up joining a group for some quests and things like that. Now I still didn't type anything like hi and conversate. I just left once the quest was over, and I probably said like thank you and just left. But I did remember the person's name, and we actually ended up grouping for another quest down the line, and that's where I opened up a little bit and started to conversate, which felt pretty amazing. We talked about how excited we were, and I even added them, so when the live servers come out for Classic, we can probably play again. But that kind of social interaction I haven't had in the current game in a while. And it's crazy to think that in a 2-day stress test environment, I've had more social interaction with other players that of course aren't my real life friends than I've had in the entirety of the last expansion. I don't know, maybe I'm just a weirdo, but it just felt pretty good to conversate with someone with the same opinions and things like that. Now the next experience I want to go ahead and touch upon is the character progression. Now I must say I could not wait to get to level 10 and start putting points into my talent trees, but even before level 10 you're still getting abilities every 2 levels, so there's still that sense of growth and character progression before that point. Now once you get past level 10, if you really think about it, you're making a unique character decision that affects your character every level until level 60 through your talent points, and then of course every 2 levels through the abilities. But that's the way that it should be. That's how you should be feeling. You should feel your character getting stronger with each level, and you're really customizing your character to how you want your gameplay to be affected. So for me, I was putting points into increasing my rend damage and reducing my heroic strike cost because those were my main sources of damage, and as I was putting points into them, I felt things dying a lot faster. And don't even get me started with gear. And again, I don't think I've been as excited for a statless common piece of gear since Retail Classic, and in my opinion, I was the strongest level 5 running around with straight common gear, which had a good amount of armor for the level, and as I put on those pieces of gear, it just felt better because I was taking less damage from each mob that I fought. And moving back to the treasure chest real quick and the rares, those things had pretty much a chance to get you a decent amount of gear and things like that. So that's why, in my case at least, that's why I would stop what I was doing, go ahead and get that treasure chest for a piece of gear that may really affect my gameplay and help me level even faster. It just felt so good to go ahead and put points into a talent tree again, as well as purchase your abilities from your actual warrior trainer or actual trainer every 2 levels. And then at level 10, I was given the warrior quest to go ahead and just kill a couple of these monsters to go ahead and get their hide. And once I did that, it gave me defensive stance, taunt, and sunder. So defensive stance, taunt, and sunder. And that opened me up to a new set of gameplay, which was tanking. So once I did that, I was able to go into dungeons after, of course, like level 12 or 13, so I wouldn't die instantly. I was able to go into RFC and play a different type of character. I was still a warrior, but now I was a defensive warrior, able to hold aggro and mitigate damage. So things like that just made it feel so much better. And of course, with all that happening, at the same time I'm leveling up a profession. So I picked mining and engineering. Now the reason why I chose mining, because of course engineering and mining go hand in hand, but the reason why I picked engineering was, of course, it's the must-have for PvP. If you want to go ahead and PvP, engineering is probably the way to go. But not only did I think about PvP, I also thought about PvE as well with engineering. So at these earlier levels, you don't really have much to keep aggro. You're not getting crazy amounts of rage. So in order to compensate for that, I picked up engineering to go ahead and get those grenades so it can help me keep aggro on these bigger packs. And you might have seen an example here while I'm tanking this dungeon, but I would throw a grenade at a set of 3 monsters so I can go ahead and get aggro and then keep aggro. So it really, that extra amount of damage from the grenades really does help. And again, professions really matter in Classic, and I'm not saying they don't now in current, but I feel like it affected gameplay so much more, especially with things like engineering, and even things like cooking helped. I was more than happy to pick up cooking because I am a warrior. It's a little bit tougher, so instead of me going to a vendor wasting my money on purchasing food and things like that, I would just go ahead and cook the meat that I killed or that I got from things I killed, and I was eventually able to cook things to give me a stamina buff, and that extra bit of stamina really did help me with my survivability as I was leveling. Now I am going to play a tank because I feel like, at least in Classic, it's one of the harder roles to play. Not only do you have to hold aggro, get good positioning and make calculated pulling decisions, but you also have to lead, and not excelling in some of these strengths can make or break a dungeon group or even a raid. So I'm really thankful I was able to participate in the stress test. I know I can play Classic on a private server, but the difference is that Classic is actually a thing now. It's actually coming. It's not just wishful thinking or a rumor or things like that. It's actually happening, and I get to support what once was my favorite company again. And I know it's been a rough few years for them, probably more than a few years, but with this, I think I feel like I would be happy that I'm subscribed and able to have fun again. And it looks like patch 8.2 might be promising as well, but that's a video for another time. And oh, really quickly before I forget, the only thing that I really had a problem with was the layering of the characters. Putting them in different instances and things like that. Not really sure how you explain it, but if you're watching this, I'm sure you know about it. And if you don't, go ahead and let us know in the comments below. But when I first started off the stress test, it went really well. There were so many players in Mogor massacring the Quillboars to the point where it took so long. I mean, it took a little bit longer to complete the quest, but I was honestly fine with that. It pushes people to group up and just having that social interaction, and just seeing that many people and so many familiar names as you level is quite refreshing. And later when I got to Org, it was like a wasteland. I mean, I think I saw like 2 people in Org of my 10+ hours of playing, and it just didn't feel right. But I hope whatever decision they do make with that is for the better of the game, and I look forward to it. Maybe, I mean, they can start off with layering, but then once the game is out for a little bit, they can take it off. I don't know. That's a debate for someone smarter than me. But anyway, that was my experience with the stress test. I had so much fun. Hopefully y'all checked it out as well, and let me know what you think. Are you excited for WoW Classic? Are you going to avoid it like the plague? I plan on making more content for Classic and maybe retail, but of course I will continue with Project Ascension because I know that's what y'all watch me for. But again, let me know what you think. Your opinion and input means so much to me, and I would not be in my position, if it weren't for y'all. So again, thank you so much for tuning into this video, and have a great day.